Can you edit out me farting? I feel self-conscious about that now.
Be it in the grim darkness of the far future, or on the blood-soaked battlefields of the old world, a secret cabal of casuals meets under the cover of night to argue about their plastic army men. No local meta is safe, for they are the power creeps.
Hey, welcome to the Power Creeps!
Guys, it's here. We got the Tau book.
Yeah.
You didn't introduce us, though.
The guy on my right is Erik, and the guy on my left is Ian.
Yeah, I'm a guy. I'm a good guy.
Oh, shit, I just identified you. I'm sorry.
The schmuck in the fucking middle is Micah.
Yeah.
He's killing my intro.
Yeah, my bad. You can put it in later. That's the magic of editing.
I'm just gonna say a bunch of words, and then I want you to edit them into funny phrases.
Okay. You want to hit me?
Boys, buttholes, at the mall.
Okay.
Do you want me to turn that into the cold open?
No, I don't know. You're
doing it.
You're
This
the
is
wizard.
I handed you the reins
you
of editing.
decided that
You
you
get to
I
decide it.
got some good stuff on file right now.
Oh, this is too good.
We're not talking about anything important.
Nope, just my first army that got me into it. The first army that I would argue to say made me friends with Ian.
Do you feel like you've turned your back on the Tau?
Yes and no.
Do you think your Tau feel like you've turned your back on them?
Yes. I've had them for over 10 years and I never painted them.
That's okay. I ditched my first army. I ditched my first faction. I don't do Imperium anymore.
See, that's the whole thing is like I don't think I'd ever stop playing Tau. Mm-hmm. I think Tau are very different than how they were when I started. Tau were very mobile. Crisis suits were cheap. You had the move, shoot, move. Your plasma was weaker, but you wouldn't kill yourself with it.
I'll say it, I've always liked how the army that you kind of started to ascribe your identity to is the Dark Eldar. Like, I can see it in your eyes. Like, when you won with the Tau, it was like, yeah, this feels pretty good. But when, like, you win with the Dark Eldar, it's like, if I'm winning, or if they're winning, then I'm winning. I can see you seeing yourself, like, you know, in the characters that you have on the field. And it's like, I like watching that in you much more.
There's just something about Dark Eldar that just scratched the perfect itch for me of, like, pure frustration when I'm playing them, but I'm loving every second of it.
Well, I feel like what kind of made me want to do Eldar for 4th edition is like the dudes at the store were like, these guys are a glass cannon army, you have to be really good to win with them. And I was like, oh dude, that's like I'm like a fighting game, like, you know tier war, and it's like I want to do that. And then I got it, and then the next edition it's like, turns out they're an uncrackable nut, and you know they're very forgiving for beginners, and it's like, I didn't want this.
Fuck!
And then
you thought Space Marines were bad.
And with and I know you feel similarly about competitive games as I do, and so I actually see you getting your cake and eating it with the Dark Eldar, because it's like they're fragile. You need to be very precise.
I mean, the whole notion of them being in paper bags still goes into this edition. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that's like, man, if you play them wrong, you're fucked. Because I've seen a lot of people play Dark Eldar wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's there's a lot of stuff in that book that's good, and there's a lot of stuff in that book that I wouldn't put on the table if I wanted to win.
You know, I don't think I felt that kind of joy since Fantasy.
Yeah?
I don't think so. I've been so like schizophrenic with the armies I've been picking up and everything.
Well, and
more of a hobbyist now, not so much of a gamer.
I think that's what it is. You just got to find that army, and I'd argue to say that Salamander's for you, and you've just never played a game with them.
It could be. I mean, I'm really passionate about them.
It's the one army you've consistently talked about. It's what your fucking person is on this.
Well, every Dungeons and Dragons character that you played, I feel like has like shades of Salamander in them. You know, you loved dwarves because of the whole craftsman element.
Yeah.
or you might play wizards from time to time, but there's that whole even
when I made a wizard, all he did was make shit.
Yeah,
that was really it.
And that's artisans, man. That's what salamanders are.
It's all about. That's exactly what you're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So play the goddamn Achilles pattern Land Raider.
I will.
Good.
Nobody's emailed me about a good list with it.
Oh, no!
I'll
You
put a
gotta,
list together for you.
I told you guys.
you got to be the fucking pioneer, Eric.
I told you, lore whores. You need to write me a list, please.
Don't you mollycoddle him. Don't you spoon.
Guys, help me.
You need to get better,
I need
Eric.
you. I love
put
you guys
a fucking
the most.
list together, and I will put a list together that's so good it'll rock me.
If I don't believe you, but okay.
I could totally put a list together of salamanders that kicks ass and doesn't use Primaris.
I got one that I'm actually kind of playing around with right now. It's about 1,500 points, and it uses the plasma deradia.
That's your first problem. Is you're not using. You gotta go 2K points. If you put a list together under 2K points, you're fucking up with Space Marines.
What the fuck are you talking about?
They're too expensive. Speaking of too expensive, crisis suits. They're too goddamn expensive. They are too expensive, though.
What are we gonna do in Zone Mortalis then?
What, with crisis suits?
No, I mean like in when we do start playing Zone Mortalis.
Oh, well, I mean, then you don't play 2K points.
Okay.
Zone Mortalis is not meant to be a 2K point game. You're on 4x4.
Yeah.
That's I argue to say 2K points is where you should be playing at 40K, because 2K points of certain armies is like fucking 20 models. Like, my Harlequins are like 20 models at 2K points.
You know what you sign up for.
I know what I signed up for, but that's just what I'm saying is, like, you get specialist armies like that, and anything under 2K, I'm bringing 5 models and a transport and 2 bikes. That's a good one.
So, I would argue that crisis suits are appropriately costed.
You don't play Tau, so your opinion doesn't matter.
Well, fuck me.
Okay, we're playing this game. All right, Mister, I play all the armies.
Sure. Let's. You know what? Take it away.
My unit's not doing good right now, so I.
Welcome to the episode of the Micah Creeps, where Micahs and Micahs.
No, I will say that crisis suits are pointed appropriately if their guns weren't as expensive. It has to be one or the other. Because a crisis suit team fully kitted out ends up being a fourth of your army. And when you think back to how Tau have always been, crisis suits, you weren't putting a fourth of your points into a single unit.
In terms of what they accomplish for your army, would you put crisis suits on the same level as a Terminator? Because Terminators are very expensive now, and I would say that they very much pull their weight, and so
I would argue to say that crisis suits are on the same point level, but I would not put them in the same effectiveness level.
Okay.
I would say that when a Terminator unit ends up being roughly 200-something points with 5 guys, 3 crisis suits fully kit out, tend to hover around like the 250-300 mark. Mm-hmm. So they're already more expensive. They're hitting on 4s when they come in from deep strike, which means if they have 2 guns each, 3 guns each, you're talking 9 shots, you're talking 4.5 hits, you're talking...
So you don't feel like you can reliably throw them at something and expect it to die?
No. I've been reading a lot of how people have been planning on using them, and they are phenomenal at killing infantry and horde, but I don't think they're the anti-tank option that everybody is going to be taking going forward.
Okay.
Because Riptides are much more aggressively pointed, Storm Surges are much more aggressively pointed, fucking broadsides dropped like a rock in point, so you're gonna see broadsides. You're gonna see broadsides all over again. So I'd argue to say that crisis suits having the full fusion squad seems very appealing, but I think for the points you could get a lot more work out of
burst
cannons with the -1 Rend edition, or I've seen an idea of people running Farsight, Big Blob, deep striking in using a homing beacon, which lets them ignore the 9-inch. They can get closer, and then 3 flamers each.
Ooh.
And it's fucking hilarious.
You see, that's where I'm kind of going with. I think that crisis suits are appropriately costed at this point. You're not building entire armies out of crisis suits anymore.
And that's as a Farsight player, that's upsetting.
Yes.
As a Farsight player, I want to bring an entire army of crisis suits and it'd be okay. But when you start comparing them to like Harlequins and stuff like that have 20 models,
I don't think you could bring an entire army of Terminators and be okay.
No. And I don't think you could bring an entire army of crisis suits and be okay.
Okay.
Because you would have to, you can only deep strike half of them, which means your other half are stuck on the board and they move 6 inches. And they don't have the move, shoot, move anymore, which was their biggest. If they were the exact same amount of points they are right now, but they had the Jink move in the assault phase, I'd completely shut up. I would 100% agree that they are enough points. But it's the fact that you deep strike them in, they're going to shoot at one target, they're hitting on 4s, so you better really fucking hope that you hit whatever you're shooting, and you really better hope that you kill what you're shooting, and then they're stuck there.
Well, just don't be stingy with your rerolls.
You can only reroll 1.
Yeah.
Just don't be stingy with it.
Just don't be stingy with it.
Oh, okay.
No, I
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It's still a gamble.
Playing Crisis Suits was the mobile way of playing Tau, because you had the gun line that was all of the Fire Warriors, and they'd maybe move a little bit every turn, but for the most part they turtled. But if you played Crisis Suits, you were moving and shooting and jumping and moving, and they weren't very survivable. They only had the 3-up save. They could get shot down really easily, but because they could jink, you could kind of jump out of cover and shoot, and you could kind of like hit and run your enemy. Where now that they lost that, it takes all of the mobility out of the unit. And that was my favorite part about Crisis Suits, was the mobility.
Do you think that's what it would take for you to come back to Tau?
I mean, I still plan on going back to Tau, so I plan on going back regardless, but it would make me a lot happier.
Okay.
I would probably not have a single complaint about the book. I would probably be more willing to overlook a lot if they just had more mobility.
So, from the perspective of an army in a game, do you think that the change is good? Like, not as...
I think across the board, the Tau Codex was an improvement.
So, not as a Farsight player, but as a player looking at the book, you think...
Across the board, it was a good move. Everything in the book went down in points. The only 2 things that went up in points was Anva being the main Space Pope, which totally makes sense that he should be more expensive than your run-of-the-mill Ethereal.
Fish Pope.
And
Pope.
I realized now, after I was talking with you guys, Pulse Pistol went up from 0 points to 1 point, and I was confused why they did that. But why they did that is because you can give that to Fire Warriors.
Okay.
You can give him a pistol?
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And the idea is if they get fucked over and stuck in close combat,
now you can shoot.
They can shoot.
Ah, that's cool.
In the shooting phase, if you don't want to retreat them. Granted, it's 1 point a model. Is it worth it? But it's super cool.
Absolutely.
But it's super cool. I thought that was a great change, because I was super confused why they made the Pulse Pistol 0 to 1 point. I'm like, why would they bother with this?
You need to model all of your Fire Warriors doing Gonkata.
Well, I have my breacher that's like shoulder mounting his breacher gun, and he has the pistol that he's like steadying on the gun as he's shooting.
So, but
they did make it a point, so that totally makes sense. I think across the board it was good.
So how many devilfish am I painting this week for you?
None.
Compulsory 1. It's mandatory.
At most I would ever say 3. Devilfish did go down in points, and I saw an interesting strategy that somebody was using, that if you park them on an objective and then unload the 2 drones that are on it, it counts as 3 models holding the objective. So it's kind of a way to sneak away if somebody has like a Demon Prince or something on the objective. Right. You can put 3 models on it. So I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. Devilfish, you are going to be throwing into close combat every turn. Every single turn, you are going to get it. You are going to get it up the board. You're going to slam it into a unit. Pray to God it survives. Then in your next turn, unload all the breachers in it and hose down whatever you ran into, and then charge the Devilfish in again.
Micah, can I paint Can I paint your devilfish as a World War II Japanese fighter plane?
I have a devil fit. The first model I ever built was a devilfish, and I still have it. That's the only devilfish I own, and it is the first one I ever built.
Oh, let's paint it. Let's update it.
Yeah, and
give it some colors, make it
Farsighty.
give it the honor that it deserves.
yeah, I think the Tau book across the board was good. I think the Seps are flavorful without being overpowered.
I love Viorlas.
I don't think any of them are just outright better than the others. It really will depend on how you play them, unlike Eldar, where it's like, fuck it, we're just giving everybody -1 to hit. Who cares?
Welcome to Ally Talk. The Ally Talk Codex. The Ally Talks.
Yeah, none of the... Not to shit on Eldar. None of the Seps seem outright better than the others. Tau gives Overwatch on 5s and 6s. Farsight gives rerolls to wound of, I think, 1 with your within 6 inches. Like, they all have little things that are cool. Viorla is great.
Give me your 2 favorite.
I mean, Farsight, but that's just because Farsight's been my army forever, and I think the rules are actually decent. I really like Borkan, I think is how you pronounce it, whatever. It gives 6 inches to, like, all of their guns.
Oh, that was a cool one.
So anything, it gives 6 inches. It's 6 inches to anything that's rapid fire or heavy, which means you got.
How far is a pulse rifle or a pulse?
It's 30 inches without the buff.
No, the carbine.
So it goes to
carbine was like
36
18.
Carbine's 18.
So what with a pulse rifle then?
Pulse rifle goes from 30 to 36, and then you bring the Pathfinders that give them the drone that has the extra 6 inches. And you go from, what is that, 36 to 42.
Damn!
Then you take
You're
Cadre
shooting in your
Fireblade.
opponent's deployment zone.
Then you give them Cadre Fireblade that makes them 2 shots. So now they're shooting 2 shots apiece. And then you give them the Ethereal, so they're re-rolling 1, so you don't have to worry about your marker lights, because at that point your marker lights are almost out of range, and you just have fun with it.
Dang, that's...
It makes... It's just a kind of a cross... I like the ball, whatever, the one that's the stealth one. Stealth one's super cool. Gives them the benefit of cover if they don't move, which is cool. It's not as overpowered as the -1 to hit, and it's not as overpowered as always having a cover save. It has the caveat of not moving. So I think that's more fair.
It's evidence that they've learned their mistake.
Yeah. Oh, learning their mistakes. 1 commander per detachment.
Yay!
So I didn't tell either of the guys this. So... Our idea was that people were going to still be spamming them by bringing patrols and stuff like that. Mm. So the list that I saw online that somebody was playing around with was 10 patrols with 1 commander in each patrol. And it was the Outrider, and it was using 3 minimum units of Kroot Hounds.
Oh my god.
So it was 100 Kroot Hounds and 10 commanders.
How many points is that?
2,000.
It's fucking stupid.
And I thought that was the funniest fucking list, because it's literally like all of these Kroot all over the Kroot Hounds all over the battlefield, and they just sprint towards the enemy as the commanders are just deep striking all around the board.
I'm really upset. I'm not surprised.
I'd never do it. It's too fucked up.
Where are you gonna find that many Kroot Hounds?
I don't know. I got 4 pewter ones and they're all broken.
I mean, I got the green stuff, world blue stuff for making press molds.
I mean, we can, but
just make it out of green stuff. No one's gonna say nothing.
Just buy Fenrisian wolves and call them conscripts.
I bought them off of a guy who was selling them in GW.
Oh, that was at the Bazaar.
Yeah, I bought them off that dude who just he had a Ziploc baggie of Kroot, and he's like, "I'll give you these for like $10." I was like, "Yeah, fuck it. Those are all the Kroot I own." Is just what I bought off that guy that one day.
You got your Kroot Katamari.
R.I.P. Bunker.
That was fun.
So. Best units, Micah. What are you thinking?
Okay, well, my favorite, which I would argue is the best, is now Vespid. The Cold Star. Actually, Vespid are a lot better.
Yeah?
Like, no shit. Mm-hmm. Vespid do Strength 5 gun, -2 rend, 1 damage with their guns, and it's Assault 2, and they can deep strike.
Okay.
So, they're actually, like, debatably the best, like, Marine killer in the book. Yeah, they're just weak as shit.
That's always been their niche, I feel.
Yeah, they've always been heralded as, like, the Marine killers. But no, the Cold Star. The Cold Star, they made it so they can take 4 different options instead of just taking They're not locked into the same loadout anymore. Which I still ran the Cold Star, even in 7th, when if they got shot once, they just tumble to the ground and die because of...
I mean, that was my fucking life running Hive Tyrant.
Yeah, like they get shot once, and if they fail their... What was it? They fail something, then they just fall and die. Cold Star, you're gonna see him with 3-4 Fusion Blasters every game. You'll see 2 of them. 2 of them every game, you'll see them doing that.
I don't doubt it.
You can move them 40 inches if you take Viorla. Mm-hmm. They don't suffer the movement penalty. And you can move them 40 inches a turn with no movement penalty, hitting on 2s with 4 Fusion Blasters, and they can fly. You literally put them wherever the fuck you want them to be. They'll kill whatever they're in front of. It'll just happen.
Most improved?
Most improved, I would say Riptide or Broadside. Or Storm Surge. I kind of put all 3 of them together because they all lost.
Pointed better.
They all lost over 50 points each. They got better and lost the points. Riptide has a stratagem that if you use their Nova Reactor, you can use 2 of the benefits, not just 1. So you can up your weapon and have a 3-up invulnerable save for 1 command point, and it only costs you 1 mortal wound. Then there's another stratagem that lets you heal D3 mortal wounds. So you can just consistently put shit out with your Riptide. Storm Surge lost like 60 points off one of their guns alone. Cluster Rockets went down by like half. It's just... You're going to see Storm Surges again, you're going to see Riptides again, you're going to see Broadsides again, which is really cool.
It's refreshing to see that all they really needed to do to fix this one was mess around with a lot of the point values. Like, do you see like the functionality and how a lot of the stuff works changing at all, or
from Index to Codex, or from 7th to 8th?
Well, I guess let's cover both of those. Like,
the only thing that's changed from 7th to 8th as far as playstyle goes is what I said already with Crisis Suits.
Okay.
They can't jump, shoot, jump. That's the biggest change from 7th to 8th. As far as how the army functions outside of that, it's still pretty much the same.
Okay, so
you're shooting things with marker lights, you're bringing a shit ton of drones, you're gunning down everything you can, and for God's sake, don't get in close combat.
So all they needed to do to give this one a facelift was just to adjust the points?
Yep, just point, stratagems, and seps.
Cool.
Seps give you a little bit more flavor, and if you were sick of playing just straight Tau and you were upset that Farsight was the only one that got rules, now you got rules for everybody else.
It's oddly satisfying to me. Like that's like what a proper update ought to be.
Yep, it's what they did with Necrons.
Yeah.
Necrons got all their Tomb Worlds or whatever the fuck they're called, dynasties.
It's just less tacky than it's like we decided to add bigger versions of the things that were already in the book.
Yeah,
Look out.
Yeah, I really don't have any complaints about the book. I bitch about the Crisis Suits being heavy pointed, but I have an idea of what I'm going to do with them going forward, so I think I'll be fine.
You think there's going to be Primera Sisters of Battle?
No.
It's really big, tough ladies.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I didn't even fucking think about that.
There you go.
Unless they're like 12-foot tall super muscle waifus. I don't want any
but that would be good for you.
It would be great for me.
Oh my gosh! So would you run Primaris if they were Sisters of Battle?
Yes, because I want an army of women that can bench press me.
They're just a bunch of Amazonian women.
It's not going to happen.
No, it never will.
Well, I mean, from a lore standpoint, Guilliman wouldn't be like, "Hey, the ecclesiarchy's cool. I'm going to give them stuff."
No, he doesn't like them
it
very
wouldn't
much.
happen. It's unfortunate, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
So, your thumbs out of 10, Tau?
I give it 1.5 fishy thumbs up.
You heard it here, folks.
I'm happy. It's everything I could have wanted out of a Tau update. I know everybody on the internet is super apathetic about it right now, and they're all still kind of butthurt over it being not as powerful as they are. But I don't think I've ever met a happy Tau player.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that. I don't think I've ever met a happy Tau player. I think they all want to relive the glory days of Taudar cheese, that's not what they are anymore.
You're coming from a time where like half the cool shit in the book was for target priority, and that became obsolete. And you're like, I still love my army.
I loved my Tau.
How do I play Tau anymore? I don't know. What do I do?
I loved playing my Tau back when like 90% of my war gear was just target priority. That was the funniest fucking thing, because it's like, cool, this doesn't exist anymore, so I guess I just won't take these.
And all right, with that, I'm Erik.
Micah.
I'm sick of your shit.
And we love you. That's Micah's thoughts on the Tau.
Yeah.
And we hope you have a great night.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got more questions about things that are up on the horizon that you want to get our takes on, let us know. We're always happy to answer a few questions if you got them.
Mr. Egg Sauce, keep being a good boy.
Yeah.
Oh, and multi-trackers are bullshit. You'll never see them again.
Cut that